Hello and welcome to another episode of It's About Time. This is episode number 31. We're going to actually today be talking with my special guest, Nishan, about how to get into watches, both from the standpoint of tools to actually get you into watches and then how to regulate them. My co-host, my usual co-host Jared, is not here today. He is actually at a very, very close friend's wedding, so I am wishing him the best of wishes this weekend as I will take it over with Nishan from here on in for this episode, as I'm sure he'll watch it later on today. I'm sure I'll get a wonderful feedback from him. But outside of that, let's go into this episode. First, it's customary, we always go into what's on the wrist. So, today what's on my wrist was the last time you saw this baby. It's the Cartier Pasha GMT. Okay, you saw this on the beach episode, which coincidentally Nishan was supposed to be at originally, but today he is making up for it because we are at location in Paramus, New Jersey.
No escaping this one.
No, he can't get away from me here. I came to his house. So he's not going anywhere. Okay, so outside of that, Nishan, what's on your wrist today?
I'm wearing the Garmin VivoFit 2. It's not the newest version that they have, but it has a lot of nice features that the original version didn't have. Namely, one of the features are its ability to track your heart rate while you're exercising, as well as to track the quality of your sleep while you're wearing it.
And real quick, for people who aren't familiar with Garmin, they do a lot with GPS,
yes,
both in cars and with golf.
Yes.
But they just got into the watch market. How is this different from Fitbit?
Well, it's a different brand.
Well, obviously.
But at the same time, Fitbit came to market with its own product that was meant to track the vitals of your body. Garmin came at it from the exercise standpoint of people like me who are training for marathons want to be able to not only track their vitals, but also track the distance and where they're running so they can plan routes and see if that's something that they want to do again. Maybe one day you don't feel like it was a good route, you don't want to go again, whether it's too many hills, too many lights, whatever it is. This actually allows you to sync up to an app and look at those different details.
Gotcha. Well, that does make a lot more sense. At least they're coming at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
And what is the battery life on this model as opposed to Fitbit, where you have to keep recharging it?
So they say it's supposed to last over a year. Okay. I've only had it for about a week, but I haven't charged it or changed any of the batteries yet. Okay,
so it's going more towards the line of quartz models that most watches, usually between 6 months and a year, that you would have to change the battery anyway. So it does compare to the quartz models that are out there in that aspect. So that's good. That's our little segment of what's on the wrist. Let's get into the meat of the episode of today. Is first off, what tools to use when you want to open a watch. Okay, if you either want to change a battery or if you want to regulate the watch to speed it up or slow it down. So what's first on our list is this little handy dandy piece. What do we have over here? What is this called?
This is a JAXA caseback wrench. This bad boy has a bunch of different little parts here that you can put in to the wrench that allows you to twist open the back of a watch. And the head is adjustable so that you can change the size, because of course you're going to have different case sizes as have been discussed in other episodes. So if you've got a large one, you can make this really large for your Invictas. If you've got a smaller one like a Fossil or a Skagen, if they even have a twist off.
No, they're all pop off.
They're all pop off? So no Skagens, unfortunately. But some other Fossil watches are smaller for the ladies, and you're going to need a smaller version of this because you won't be able to open it.
Okay, well,
that's where something else like that would come in. Now, unfortunately, you can't get the torque that you would get with something like the JAXA that I just showed you, because you have to hold it in your hand and use the twisting motion. However, that's where this one comes in. As you can see, they have a lot of these different devices. This is a 2-head as opposed to the 3-head JAXA, and it's also adjustable. Of course, you have a limit, but at the same time, when you get to this limit, you're probably not going to be able to use this device. You'd have to go to the JAXA because it'll have better torque and grip.
And if I didn't mention before, Nishan is a jeweler and a watchmaker. So yes, he would know all the technicals of everything I am showing, including this dildo-looking device. which I find very fascinating. The first time I've ever seen this in this capacity for watches. So why don't you explain to me how this is different from the other devices you just showed us?
So this is pressure based. It doesn't hook into any notch. You actually have to physically connect it to the back of the case, push down, and twist at the same time. I've honestly never used it. I imagine there are situations where you would use it. Not for fixing watches. There would be situations that you might want to use it, maybe when it's already loosened up, because you don't want a chance maybe scratching up the back of the watch. But again, I've never used it.
No, it doesn't seem like a lot of people have based on its color. So outside of that, if it's not a twist off, okay, we do have other tools to open watches, and I'll let Nishan explain what these are.
So since we're going to talk about an automatic watch shortly, it's good to note that most, if not all, automatic and mechanical watches don't utilize a pop-off system, where you would use this, which is called a case knife, to literally pop the back open, because they won't retain the pressure needed to ensure that they're water resistant and keep moisture out, because it is mechanical. It has oil in there, it has metal parts that could rust. So it's not relevant to what we're going to get to. However, on a lot of other watches, these are relevant. So a case knife usually has a lip on the back. You insert this into the lip, and you can twist it, or you can use a hammer to tap it. As you can see, that this has been tapped many times, and it will pop open. This is the same thing, just a different mechanism. You get a little bit more leverage, a little more torque with this. Slip it in the slit, pop it open.
And what would this theoretically be used for?
So,
is that a different way of doing it?
This little hook device is specifically for Gucci watches. Gucci watches can have a design which is like a pop-off that has a little hole, 2 holes actually, in the back of the case. And you use this little hook to pull it open as opposed to popping it open. And that's to ensure that you don't scratch the back as you do it, as you might if you're not careful by using a case knife. A lot of manufacturers actually do that, where they will make a specific tool to prevent the larger population from doing work on their own watches, either because they're hard to get or they cost a lot of money.
You find that also with Bulgari, who is very famous for having their own tool that you have to buy with their watch. It costs like $200 just so you can open their watch.
Yeah.
So yes, is it smart? Kind of. But it makes it very limited on the people who actually fix it as well. So there's up and down sides to doing that as well. Now if you're not going to snap it open, you're not going to twist it open, the only other way you can get a watch pretty much open, the whole purpose of these is to get under. They usually have on the case where you snap it open a spot where there's a groove that you snap under. However, a lot of times these won't do the trick because they don't get enough of the groove to pop it open. So what watchmakers do is they go to your screwdriver sets.
Yep. You'll go to the screwdriver set. You have all different size screwdriver heads that you can use. This screwdriver set at wholesale costs around 150 bucks because it's Bergeon and it's made in Switzerland. And those are where the top watch parts and watchmakers of the world do their business. So it's just a regular screwdriver, but these are special heads that can be sharpened or turned around as you need to, so that you can continue to do repairs on the fly. At the same time, if you aren't going to use these to pop a case open, there are many watches that will utilize 4 to 6 screws to hold the case down. I know Cartier sometimes does that. Well, they will use screws to hold the case back down.
Perfect example is the Pasha we were just talking about. As you can see from the back, you have a myriad of screws over there, which you have to open even to get inside the watch, and then the back will just pop open. So that is a perfect example of what Nishan is talking about when you're talking about a screw-down case back. Okay? Which, theoretically, do you prefer out of the 3 types we just talked about? What do you think is the most effective?
The most effective is the screw back. It offers the best protection when it comes to water resistance. The pop-off doesn't do that, and the screws leave a little bit too much room there because each screw has to have the right amount of pressure. You can't over-tighten it, you can't leave it too loose. You over-tighten it, you risk breaking it under pressure. You keep it too loose, you risk having water flow in through those cracks and damaging the watch. The pop-off isn't going to offer any of that because it's not meant to. It won't handle the pressure. Now, from a repair standpoint, the pop-off is the easiest to deal with.
Even though, because a lot of times with the pop-offs, you see jewelers have a hard time getting them back in, which is usually what this tool is actually
Just like that.
Okay, and is that called a specific name? Or is it just called
It's got a name. It's called the case wrench. They're all just case wrenches.
All used for different reasons.
They're all used for different reasons. This one is specifically meant for Rolex or Rolex style case backs.
Correct. Which, yeah, we can show you over here. Which kind of look like this. If you look at it through the camera, you will see the Rolex style case back, which, again, was made famous by Rolex. And it needs a certain type of tool to actually open it, which that is the tool. Okay, you see that very common on a lot of these type watches. But as Nishan was explaining to me before, a lot of the cheaper watches, and this is more of the cheaper bands and watches, they don't have the exact sizing that this provides. So you can't get them open anyway, because it's actually cheaper just to throw them away than it is to fix them.
Exactly.
So,
and Rolex only makes certain case back sizes to fit each die. So if it's not this size, there's a good chance it's not a Rolex if it can't be opened.
Exactly. Okay. Now, when we get the watch open, which is something after we get all these tools, and you know, you open it one of several different ways, including this. That's my favorite piece of the day. You know, then how do we regulate it? So we're going to go into real quickly. Nishan's going to show you the inner parts of the watch. I'm going to go behind the camera. He's going to show you the inner parts of the watch, so you can see exactly what everything does and how do you speed it up and slow it down if your watch is running fast or slow. So away I go. And over to Nishan.
Okay, where's mine?
As you can see, that is the inner workings of the automatic watch right there.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got the crown here, connects to the stem. The stem comes into the watch. And in some models, it allows you to wind the watch so that it allows this piece here, which is the balance wheel, to power the watch. As you can see, it's oscillating back and forth. And that movement is hitting the escapement, which you can't really see, but I'll kind of point to it. It's a little part down there that just goes back and forth, knocking away at another wheel there to allow the watch to tell you the time. And this is a weighted part. That name escapes me at this time.
Perfect time for it to escape.
Perfect time for me to escape. That will wind the watch as it moves. And that's what makes it automatic. Because as it's moving, or as you're moving and it's on your wrist, this part is actually winding the watch up. Whereas in a manual, you would always have to turn the crown to wind it up. So when you're regulating, there's a part here I'm pointing to. It's sticking out. That part is what allows you to regulate. So when you push it one way, in this case, if you push it to your right, in that direction, it will make it run faster, like so. As you can see, the wheel moves faster. If you push it in the opposite direction, it makes it run slower.
And it's important to note that most of these watches, they either have that part or they have a screw.
Yes.
And you can either turn the screw counterclockwise or clockwise to make it run faster or slower. And they have a plus or negative arrow for you to tell you. Obviously, plus is for faster, the negative is for slower. So just to let you guys know, it's going to work one of two ways. In this case, he's got the lever and not the actual screw.
Well, that's because this is Chinese-made Kenneth Cole, which isn't anything too special, so they're not going to go through all the processing and manufacturing power of giving you that feature.
Right. Okay. And basically, that is the main part of how to regulate the watch, which most people... It's actually very simple to do, because most people don't realize that in order to regulate the watch, all you got to do is open it up. Instead of bringing it to a jeweler and paying them sometimes an exorbitant amount of... If you go to Tourneau and try to have somebody speed up your watch, they're going to charge you $60-70 just to do what we just said.
You can buy most of these parts here for that money.
That's right. And depending on the type of watch you have, it's not even worth it. All right. I mean, if it's an expensive watch, more like the Cartier, or if it's a a Rolex type, then yeah, I can understand you having these parts. You can just do it yourself. But if it's a different type of watch, like you know, a Fossil or anything like that, it does you know, behoove you to do that type of thing, because it's just going to cost you money. So basically, that's basically, as you see Nishan now tightening it up, and that's the screw down case back right there, and there's the tool right there. He's using one of the case back tools to tighten it up.
I've avoided the manufacturer warranty on this by opening it for you all.
There goes 60 bucks. But outside of that, and there it is. As you can see, the watch is as good as new, and it's working as planned. Okay, and that is pretty much going to wrap up our episode this evening. We'd like to thank everybody for joining us on how to both open and regulate a watch. We hope to have Nishan back in future episodes, because he owes us, because he didn't hit the beach that one time. I had to do the damn GMT episode all by myself. Jared didn't even join me either, because he's at a wedding. So, God forbid, I do this shit all by myself. But outside of that, we'd like to thank you, both you.
My pleasure.
And this wonderful looking piece.
I think he's going to be taking that home.
Holy crap, I may get a couple of these suckers tonight. So, outside of that, please, guys, email us, text us, Facebook, use any method you can. Keep liking us. Please subscribe to the channel. We keep looking to do more of these episodes in the future, especially repair episodes with our watchmaker Nishan over here. And outside of that, next episode, I will be back with Jared. We will be next week at the Patek Philippe Festival in New York City.
Very nice.
It's actually a free festival. If Nishan is free, we'd love for him to join us.
See what we can do.
And we're going to see some of the highest end watches. We're going to see if we can actually film in there, or if we actually need permission. I don't know, but we're going to be doing an episode definitely with me, Jared, and Dave for that, and hopefully maybe we can get Nishan to join us as well. Thank you everybody again for joining us on another episode of It's About Time.